Have you finished? Huh? Let me sit down. Well, hello there. Welcome. Sorry, I should have done this before I pressed record. But welcome to Arts and Wellness Café. Who am I? I'm Amanda. So glad you could join me today. So how have you been? It's been a while since I've kind of really given you time to think about that. And it is really important to think about how we're feeling in the moment. Kind of just like a little mini checkup. And it doesn't mean that... I think you have to do this on a regular basis, and even if it is just on a daily basis, just think, well, how am I? How am I feeling? What am I doing? And when you start thinking about how you're feeling and the kind of things that you're doing, you start to notice patterns in your behaviour, and you know, just little things, right? You know, certain things will set you off, like, are you a self-saboteur? That isn't the topic for today, but it's something that you have to think about because it ties in with the topic or the word which started this week. And the word for this week is relationship. And yes, we are on the first... No, it's not the first of it's not the 1st of March, it's the first week of March, and so we have a couple of new additional words for the month, and they will run for the whole of this month. And the additional words are voice and imagination. So each week I'll remind you that these words are voice and imagination. So we've got quite a lot to get through today. I had slightly changed the way that the session was kind of made up, and I've included, like, you know, what book am I looking at the moment, and an art piece, and just generally what kind of work what am I working on at this minute. And so I'll show you a advanced preview, because this is an idea that I'm kind of just percolating. So I usually, when I get ideas like this, I kind of just go and make loads of this particular one thing, whatever it is. I found that that's what I do, and then I play around with it and see whether it's something that I want to spend more time on, although I do spend quite a bit of time on it, and then how it then fits into the rest of my work. So it'll all become evident when I explain it to you. And so yeah, I wanted, if you haven't listened to the podcast recording entitled Relationship, then I encourage you to do so, and I will put a link below. You're going to have to excuse the sound. I think it's my next door neighbour. Yeah, he's decided to get a whacker out, and well, he's been doing it for a while. I'm late, so hence that's why we've got to, hopefully you can hear more of the sounds of the birds, although he seems to be getting louder. He must be coming round. It looks like he's cutting back a tree. Or is that my tree that's moving? Yeah, actually, yeah, can I see some stuff on the floor? I don't know, I'm short-sighted in one eye. Anyway, let's get on, shall we? So on the podcast, I wanted you to not only think about the relationships that you have, and it's funny, if you've seen last week's recording, some of the relationships that we have is, when you looked at the art piece that I showed last week, Me, Myself and I, that is about the relationship we have with ourselves. But and that, but I was talking on a different subject. I think can't remember what the word for blissful, I think it was. Anyway, so we think about the relationships we have with other people, and we know that to nurture relationships, you have to spend time with the other person. You have to share interests, and you have to not necessarily, share a hobby or whatever, but you get to know a person the more that you're doing with that person. You get to know a person more the more time you spend with that person, and the different things that you do together, that you can have that shared experience, and you understand how the person may approach things. But the kind of relationship that I really want you to think about is the one that you have with yourself, but also that feeds into the relationships we have with other people. Because if you don't love yourself, then how can you love somebody else? If you don't hold yourself in high regard, the kind of relationships you will have are very different from, it's not going to be a balanced relationship, because you hold what other people say is more important. You may have been somebody who has been, is being manipulated, or I don't know, because I really want us to look at how we approach it in a creative, our creativity. And but you may have been, you may not love yourself, but you hold high regard for somebody else. And it could just be because you were always told adults were always right, and what I say goes, and you don't have a voice. So if you're in that situation, it takes quite a long time to get to the point where you are loving up yourself and valuing yourself. And as artists, we have this grapple with the self-critic, and it takes a while to know what strategies to put in place. Now, I found that now the strategies that I have in place work quicker than I used to be able to deal with it before. So I could go into a tailspin of, oh gosh, I'm rubbish at this, and I'm this, and I can't do this, and everybody else is better than, what I can do. There's no value to, when you were younger, to, you'd be maybe looking at some work and you feel a twinge of comparison. And then I start talking to myself. I was just like, but you can't compare yourself to this person. What you bring to the table is of equal value. And you should be encouraged to know that, there are other people who value what you have to bring. But first you have to value it for yourself. So how do you then gauge or temper, not temper as in she's got a bad temper, but how do you temper that or create that balance where you keep those things in check? And you do have to have strategies in place. You do have to have reminders. You do have to schedule time. Just like they say, if you're in a marriage, to schedule date nights and things like that, or relationships. But you do have to schedule me time, and you do have to schedule time where you are valuing yourself and caring for yourself and nurturing yourself. And it may be those things that, like the candles. I used to love when we were in the UK and we had a bath. It was just like, it was so nice to be able to put candles on, the window ledge, and have a fizz bomb from one of my favourite shops is called Lush, and I'd get these fizz bombs and these bath products, and it was just beautiful. It's a lovely smell. I love yeah, I love their kind of products, because they just make you feel so special and cared for, and I'm not being sponsored by them, but equally there are people here who are amazing at creating bath products and soaps and fizz bombs, and there is actually recipes online for you to make those things. So I might even try, with some of the natural herbs and materials I have in my environment. So that's something for you to maybe consider, and maybe think about how you clarify the relationship that you have with yourself and the relationship that you have with others. And are there others that make you feel a particular way? Are there other people who make you feel insecure or make you feel encouraged or inspire you? You can talk to them and you feel really great about everything, and you go off with so many ideas and you're just encouraged. You just feel encouraged. I'm not sorry, actually. I'm not sorry, I wanted some tea. It's the last tea bag as well. Didn't get a chance to go out and when we went shopping on Monday. Anyway, so yes, think about that relationship. So I wanted to, let me show you. Should I show you that? Or should I show you that? Yeah, I'll show you what I've been working on. So I'm still doing the 100-day project, and some of the stitches I'm a bit late in uploading, but I'm going to address that today. But one of the things I worked on, because I love doing faces, so I'm always going to do a face. Whatever I do, there's going to be a face involved. And I did this little face stitched. So I'll be sharing that on social media, but I'm not sure whether to kind of like quilt it or what kind of backing, and even look at the backing. I might even want to keep it. It's the first one I've done, the first face I've done. I'm really quite pleased, and I'd love to do it maybe bigger, and I'd love to look at some of the paintings that I've done and see how I can approach it using stitch and cloth. And it's just so amazing. It's amazing to me that the idea of embroidery or sewing never crossed my mind, but when I look at it from a mixed media standpoint, that I'm painting fabric, I'm creating almost, kind of fabric sculptures, I love that idea. And the other thing that I was looking at was making fabric baskets. I was just like, I've seen some online, and I'm just like, do you know what, all these stitched projects, all these I'll show you this. So all these like little stitched, I guess stitched stories that I've been putting together, I have been thinking, well, maybe they're not necessarily for a wall hanging per se. It's an inside joke there. Anyway, but what I might do is make some baskets, and I've done a kind of a start of one, but I don't know, I did it this way, so it's supposed to go like that, but I made it like this, and then I thought that's not how I would put it together. I would create the panels and then put the panels together, as opposed to, but I was just in such a rush to kind of get something down, because I don't necessarily, I did a little sketch. These are my sketches. So I don't really have a sketchbook, but what I normally do is make the thing up or do I guess a prototype. So this is noise all around. Can you hear it? Anyway, the sounds of the Caribbean. Hold on, let me see if I can shut the window. I'll shut the window. Is that any better? It's gonna get a bit hot in here. And Cole has decided to sit behind me. Anyway, so yes, so yeah, this is a kind of prototype, and then I started to add things. But as I was doing it and I did the last stitch, I said to myself, it's like it's coming to our garden. Anyway, I was saying to myself, but this is not how you actually want to do it. So yeah, we will move forward on that. But yeah, so that's one of the things that I was doing. And I guess even looking at the word relationship, how I have a relationship with my supplies and tools, and I'm reconnecting with a lot of my supplies and experimenting. And I shared a painting that I'd rediscovered some paints that I've had for years, and they're liquid wax. But they're really nice. I didn't realise how nice they were, and I was saving them because it was just like, oh, you know, because I wasn't confident with using them. And it's just like, what are you waiting for? You know how to paint, you know? And then they became discontinued, and it's just like, I think you may be able to get them on eBay, but not like, you know, the main way. I don't have a real choice of colours. It's whatever is left in the system. But so I do love to experiment and to play with the supplies, and I think if you approach it in that way, it's less kind of, oh my gosh, you know, not necessarily are you doing it right, but again, it's always that questioning, oh, well, what does this look like? And I have to remind myself that it's the process that you're going through. You need to enjoy every step of the way, and whatever comes out at the end is meant to come out at the end. And I see that I'm telling stories, some of which is coming from my subconsciousness, and so I just have to allow that play to happen. I have to allow these to progress, because the thread that I was on was strongly saying, you know, you're gonna cut out this bit, cut out the base. But what I realized was that you're going to cut out this bit, but you're going to create on it, and then once it's ready to be folded like this and then stitched together, that's what you're going to do. And then there are other ways in creating this kind of basket. I haven't got a particular one in my head. I've got one, or I've seen some that use the Coil method. So if you look at the way traditionally like large vessels and large vessels were made, clay pots and things, they're made using the Coil method. So you roll the clay and you have the base, and then you start building up and building round in a coil-like way, and then you smooth the clay up, and then it's put in a fire pit, a traditional fire pit, and that's a kiln, and it's fired, and then it comes out, and you know, it's used to either store grain or used for water or whatever. Obviously the glazes and stuff and whatever is used to paint it. But I thought to myself, that is how you're going to build this thing, these vessels. That's how. But as I say, this is the first one I did. I did 3 of them, and I've cut out another one. I've cut out I've cut out for 5, and after doing, I did this one first, then I did that one, it was too small, and then I did this one, it was a bit bigger, and then after I did this I realised that this is, it's not feeling right, so and this is not how it's going to be done. I can't do it this way. It's got to be made up first. I cut out a pattern. That's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling a pattern, the pieces, fabric pieces made, quilted like, and then put together. That's what I'm feeling, so we'll see. We'll see as we go forward. Okay, so I also promised to share a book, and I'll show you the book. Oops. It's a bit congested in here because I'm trying to tidy up, and then I've got these little, I brought these glass little pebbles, and again I've had these for years and not known what I wanted to do with them, and I still haven't yet got projects in mind, but I might put them out in the garden actually. They're pretty. I've got loads of them. Anyway, so the book that I'm going to share this week is by artist Jenny Doe, and it is called Art Saves. And stories, inspiration and prompts sharing the power of art. And I've got a little video of talking about the book. So let's watch the video. So today we're going to look at this book called Art Saves, Stories, Inspiration and Prompts Sharing the Power of Art, and it is edited by Jenny Doe. So Jenny has brought together a selection of artists, and Jenny also does a project within this book, and in the table of contents it shows you the list of artists that have contributed. So after you've gone into the short introduction by Jenny Doe, telling you why and how her journey and why she has brought together this selection of artists, and it says, as you read through this book you will find that many of the artists offer the how in terms of the stellar projects that they teach through the presentation of beautiful photographs and well-written instructions. And at the back, I'll read the back for you. Inside Art Saves, experience the stories of 20 artists who found that artistic expression and the artistic process is worth living for. Whether you are a graffiti artist like Lisa Engelbrecht, a metal artist like Michael Demeng, or digital collage artist like Susan Tuttle, the art has a way of giving you beauty, meaning, spiritual richness, community, even salvation. So within this book there are a variety of different mediums that the artists use. Every single medium you could possibly think about is included in here, and one of the reasons why I like this book is because it's not only got the lessons that each of the artists teaches, a bit about the artist and their journey, but it's got some little tips and hints and pay it forward. The instructions for creating the art that they have in here is really well done, and you've got some really nice coloured photographs enclosed, and each of the projects it goes through step by step what you need to do. The other thing it has is little quotes for under each artist, and it's called Pay It Forward. And it's also a great way to think about how, as artists, we do kind of inspire and encourage other people with the work that we do. The other good thing about doing this is it gives you a broad range of artists that you can do different projects from. You can also dip in and dip out. You can take what somebody has created in one project and use it in multiple projects. And it's really a great way to find out how the artists, what inspires the artists, and also get behind the scenes about how art has impacted on their life, their stories and how they tell their stories. And it's a great way, looking through this book, it's a great way to find ways to share and to tell your stories. And you will be inspired, because it's mixed media at its best in terms of the range of the way that the artists express themselves and the materials that they use. And it's then also a great way for you to think about how you may progress in that particular art form, how you want to grow. And so this is almost like, taking a course with each of these artists from the art that they have used. As you can see, some really lovely clear directions and photographs that will enable you to follow step by step the art that each of the artists have done. At the back of the book, it gives you details and where to find the artists. Okay, so that was Art Saves. That is Art Saves, and I do like this book, and I do like some of the projects in there. Like, I'm in the middle of trying to see how I can, when I do these figures and faces, even like this, I mean, I've kind of stopped short of doing the kind of, all the detail in the face, and I love kind of, painting the face and mark making, how I can transfer that in a stitch project, and how you can use the stitches in that way. And that's one of the reasons why I started the 100 days of embroidery stitches, because I've been promising myself to learn new ones for years, and it's just like, now's your chance, just get on with it. So I'm enjoying learning the stitches, and I'll have some new stitches to add to my mixed media work and some of the pieces that I do. So that brings me to my art piece that I'm going to share today. So this is another sculpture. I'm showing you quite a lot of sculpture, because that's one of the things that I do. Sculpture, painting, mixed media, and I cover it all. And okay, so this piece is called When I Was Weary You Carried Me, and it was inspired by, I don't know whether you know, there's a poem that used to be going round, but it was a poem called Footprints in the Sand, and the essential part of it is that, when you thought, so the person, when I thought I was alone, actually you were carrying me, God was carrying me. And through all the ups and downs, ins and outs and roundabouts, I was never alone. And so I'd initially made these two as two individual pieces, And I was just looking at this one because it was actually shaped how she is, like as if she was being carried, but I didn't know I was going to make this piece. And it's a combination of paper clay and fabric. Yeah, so you can see all of this is fabric, and underneath is the paper clay. I've got the faces as well. They're paper clay. I usually make my faces from molds. So I kind of create a face and then make a mold of it, or I brought some as molds. And then there's a jewelry piece, so I'm still kind of adding, you know, like the jewelry or the beading. So this one doesn't have as much jewelry or beading as other pieces. And then I love all the texture you get from using different fabrics. Yeah, and the it's amazing when you start working with textile. It's just like, wow, I never realized it was so the sun's going to be setting soon. I didn't realize it was going to be so lovely. There's so many different fabrics that you can work with. And then, you know, if you're into weaving, you can weave. If you're spinning, so I spin my own cotton. I've got a project with the cotton I'm kind of contemplating. I'm working with concrete. It's a couple of cotton and concrete cement. Anyway, so back to this. When I was weary, you carried me, and thinking about the relationships that, you know, I think that as artists, as creatives, we have a responsibility to share our work, because somebody could look at that and think, oh my gosh, you know, it really has touched me. I you know, in terms of this idea of relationships, I realised that I need to look after myself more and nourish myself, nurture myself, because no, I'm never alone, in the sense that, you know, I'm a creator and I was created, and this amazing world was created. It wasn't just the Big Bang. So as a creative, yeah, we have a responsibility to share our work, because it impacts. Art can heal, and as the book says, art saves. Art has I was taking off the H's, healing effect. Art has healing effects on our health and our mental well-being. And when you participate in art, whether it is that you actually are, you know, making something, or whether you're viewing it and appreciating it, it will have an impact on you. So once I made this piece, it's a reminder that not only do I have to look after myself, but I have to balance myself. And I guess that's similar in the sense, but, you know, not get too carried away down the road on any particular thing, but you can enjoy it, enjoy the process, see it through, and then take a step back and think, well, how do I feel about this? And I do love working, as I said, I do love working with a variety of different materials, and I'll always, I mean, I've got a stack of work up there that still needs to be finished, and one that really aptly describes how I've felt over this the year that has gone by. So that's the art piece, and I'm really happy to be able to share it and show it, and to really be able to give these Arts and Wellness Cafe a bit more meat, because I could just chat, but it is about then how are we using the arts to impact on our well-being, and how can we find ways to use art to help us express ourselves in a variety of different ways. And it's not only us, it's those who are cared for in care, who are no longer able to care for themselves. As artists, can we create environments where we either share our art more so that more people have access to it, or go into places that don't have any art programs that people could benefit from them, and that then speaks to the relationships. Because I'm thinking about the work I've done with Alzheimer's, and I'm now going to be working on, over the years I've done different projects where I worked with the elderly with dementia, and we did art projects, and every session had to have you had to have a finished product, or whether it's paintings or whatever. So I worked on themes, but it's to look more and see how I can bring some of these resources together and share them. So I'll be looking at that as well. So that's a good thing that's come out of it, and that's about relationships. So if you are a carer, you have something physical, you can say, okay, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's like an artist has created this, who's worked with other people who've been living with dementia, and my parent or loved one may not necessarily want to do it, or it may not be something that they're used to, like doing an art project or an art activity, but after they have done it, they might feel really good about themselves. Or even the person that's the carer might say, yeah, it's just like us, it's just like the tools I use on a daily basis, everybody should be using. The exercises, the different things that you can do to help you express what you're feeling, or to work through something. I really do, and I'm really feeling strongly that, especially with everything that's happening, that we need more of that. And there is a lot out there. So, and I'm teaching on four of them, where you can still get access. So check those out, because the sessions that I do, it is really about tapping into your creativity, and about loosening up, listening to your voice, listening to what your subconscious is saying. And you may not necessarily clearly hear use orange and blue, but you might naturally gravitate to that. And it's that kind of thing, just listening to how you feel, listening to the kinds of colours that you're drawn to. And I say listening, you'll only get better at hearing if you spend time with the supplies. So with that said, I hope that you've been able to get something from today, and I look forward to receiving your comments. And I hope you have a productive week and a blessed week. Stay blessed and be a blessing.